So today's the day that you will practice what we talked about on this particular sheet, which is volume of cylinders. And so we went over in class our guided notes. We were able to complete these three, which gave us the radius. Let's go to page 2. On page 2, we were given the diameter, and the difference between the two is, first of all, the orientation, which we talked about in class. This might look like a height because of the way they've turned or tilted the cylinder, and that's called orientation. But this is the diameter that they've given us. So the diameter they gave us is 10 yards. But because our formula calls for the radius, we have to take 10 and divide it by 2 to get our radius of, we have to take our diameter rather and divide it by 2. And 13 is the height. So we talked about those two. If you're interested in watching this again or you think it would be beneficial, this was posted on our yesterday's video, and you can watch the rest of how we work with these three forms of pi. So today's assignment will be setting up the next 6 problems. I'd like you to come into class tomorrow ready to use the calculator depending on what form of pi you need to use. And I'm going to ask you to please make sure you have these 2 things finished when you come into class. I'd like you to make sure that you have the formula filled in and the substitution. She wrote it as plugged in values, but it means substitution, same thing. You're noticing, hopefully, that it asks you to use the pi key and round to nearest tenth. So we're going to need to use our calculators tomorrow. Same for this second one. When we go on to problem 3, it actually asks you initially to leave it in terms of pi, but it also asks you to round to the nearest tenth. So would you please set up again the formula and the substitution? For number 4, you're going to notice it's a word problem. It says Leanne has a cylindrical water tank in her backyard that has a diameter of 3 meters and a height of 2 meters. It might be helpful for you to draw a little sketch of that. What is the capacity of the water tank? And at the beginning of volume, we mentioned that capacity is another word for volume. This asks you to leave your answer in terms of pi. So when it does say in terms of pi, you can actually complete the whole problem. You don't really need to use the pi key because we leave our symbol in the answer. So let's look at the final 2 problems, please. Number 5, it asks us to find the volume of a cylinder, the cylinder below, both in terms of pi and rounded to the nearest tenth, which means we're going to be using the pi key. Be sure to show all steps. So again, if you want to come in ready to go with the formula substitution, this answer would be easy to get in terms of pi because we leave the symbol in the math. And if you want to wait till the calculator's handy to the nearest tenth, that's great. And finally, our last word problem says the volume of a cylinder is 942 cubic feet. The height of the cylinder is 12 feet. What is the radius of the cylinder? So let's go ahead and set this up the way you think it should be set up, and we'll discuss this one in class on Wednesday. So that's your assignment for today, to get all of this ready to go, formula, substitution, and then wait for the parts that you need the calculator. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.